Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about ginger and planting your own ginger, and I'm going to show you how I planted our ginger starting with pots inside the house and about my plans to move it out to the garden later in the summer when it's nice and hot. Now, ginger is used as a culinary spice, but it also can be used for medicinal purposes. Of course, you should check with your doctor if you're hesitant about using anything like a natural plant to treat any sort of health ailment that you have. Always check with your doctor. Don't just take advice from people on the internet like me. However, ginger is very healthy with you, research says, and it has also been used to treat some medical ailments. So, not only does it taste good, but it actually is good for you according to scientific studies. So it's definitely worthwhile to grow ginger yourself if you're into gardening or into houseplants. This is actually something that you should try because it makes a beautiful plant for indoor houseplants. And you get a little bit of a gift at the end with a nice ginger that you can use in your food or in your teas or however you would like to use your ginger. I like to use ours for chai tea around the fall and winter season. But we also use ginger in a lot of our foods, especially the Asian dishes that really use that ginger pang. Ooh, and of course, gingerbread cookies, which is a big favorite in this house, especially around Christmas time. So ginger has many uses, and it is totally worthwhile for us to be planting ginger, and I'm going to show you just how I did it. Alright, I'm going to talk to you through these leaves. Or maybe not. Now, just before Christmas, I bought some ginger rhizomes, or a ginger root, it's called, right from our grocery store. I made sure that it was organic. When you're doing this shopping, you want to be looking for any kind of rhizome that already has little white sections where it looks like a root is starting to form. Let me see if I can find an example for you here. I'll plop in a picture here for you to see what I'm talking about. And you want to be looking for these because it just means that they're a bit farther along in their growing process. They've already started to kind of create that root which you're trying to create in these pots. So if they've already got some roots forming, you know that you're like a few days or weeks ahead. If you can't find any, just buy any kind of root of the ginger plant. And then you want to be planting them directly in a pot that is big enough around the base for more rhizomes to form. Now, if you can kind of imagine that this is your root, and underneath the soil you want enough room for a bunch more to be forming. So think through that process. You want a pot that is big enough to be able to do that. And then you're just going to be planting them right around the surface of the soil, still under the soil, but not very deep. They should be just under soil. In fact, sometimes mine are even sticking out and then I'll just come cover a little bit more soil over top, but really close to the top. Put them right in the soil, give them a little water from your basin, sink, or your shower, whatever is easiest. And you don't want it to be super, super wet, but still moist enough that this ginger can grow. Now, if you don't have all those things ready, like you still need to get a pot, you don't have the soil, there is another way to do this. If you're still getting supplies, but you already have your ginger plants, you can do what I did. And I just took a bowl and added my ginger right into it and filled it up with water. So, in a way, that will also kickstart that growing period where the rhizomes will start putting out little tips of roots, kind of doing the same process that it would do in the first few weeks in the soil. So if you don't have everything ready, you can start by adding your ginger to the water and let that sort of formulate so long while you're waiting to get all your supplies together. The reason why that's good is because ginger is going to take a long time to grow. You may see the plant shoot up its leaves in about 3 months after you planted it, 2 to 3 months. But the actual rhizomes forming and giving you enough ginger to harvest is only going to be about 10-12 months later. So that's quite a long time to be waiting for something. And so anytime that you can save by getting a kickstart like adding it to water, if needed, you can use that as a starting process while you get everything together. However, I should say that it is definitely not the best way to do it. And the reason I say that is because it is incredibly stinky. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I don't even know how to describe this smell, but it's horrible. Now I'm stopping this video to tell you that you should not wait longer than a week or two to plant out your gingers. Do not leave them in the water. When you smell rot, they've rotted. Don't use those. I've held off posting this video for quite some time because I wanted to be sure that the gingers that I was putting in the water and then planting would actually come up. I've never done that before. It was my first time trying it from hearing somebody else say that it would work. I'm really glad I held off because they didn't work. So there must be a certain time that you can leave your gingers in the water to plant them out, and you need to probably not leave them in the water as long as I did. I think I left them for, could be 3-4 weeks. So that was too long, and the smell that I was smelling was rottenness ginger. So that is not the way to go. I think it's okay probably for a week or two, but I wouldn't do it more than that. The reason why it should be okay for a short amount of time is because most plants can grow in water. Like you could put carrots or any kind of salad, celery or things like that in the water, and it will over time start to put out roots and grow. That's exactly what we do with sweet potatoes. Most people put it in half of the body of the sweet potato into the water so that it can start making roots. So it would make sense that the same would happen for gingers, but I'll just tell you that I think that there is a time because the ginger ends up rotting before it actually gets to a big part of that rooting process. So don't leave your ginger in the water for more than, I would say, a week or two. Yeah, be quick about it. Okay, back to the video. Now, I did start some of our rhizomes just before Christmas, so we're now about 3 months later already. Let me show you how good they look. These are my ginger plants, and you can see they are quite big. I wonder if you can see in the shot there just how big they are. But they're pretty large, and I'll give you a little show here. This is what they look like on the top. And so there's probably about 2 to 3 rhizomes in each of these pots right around the top. And so I've got 2 plants here already. I'm wondering where the other one is. Maybe it'll come still, but this one is doing really well. It's giving me 4 plants already. So good on you, big plant. And then actually this is something else, which I'll make another video about. But this is turmeric, which makes a similar plant to the ginger, but a little different and very beautiful also. So there's about 3 turmeric plants coming up here, but anyway, that's something else. So these ginger plants are gorgeous in my opinion, and they would make gorgeous houseplants. I mean, just look at that. I think that is such a beautiful plant. And so it is nice to have this in your house, and it may as well be a houseplant for you while it is making gingers. So these are the ginger plants about 3 months later. So it takes a long time. You probably won't see anything grow for a month or 2. So don't get discouraged. They're coming, okay? Now once it is warm enough outside, I will be moving these pots to the summer garden in the heat because your ginger wants very high temperatures, as well as high humidity and moist soil. Now what's important to know once you move your plants out to the garden is that they do want a little bit of shade. So you don't want it out in the blazing sun. Try to pick a spot that has a little bit of shade as well, as best you can. I always hear those things and I'm like, well, what if my garden is entirely in the sun? I don't know. Find a plant that already is making some shade, like maybe your tomato trellis or your beanstalk is making some kind of shadow on one part of the garden. You're gonna have time to actually see what is growing how and maybe just put it in an area where there's a bit more shade. But today I'm gonna be planting out the rest of my ginger. now that the ginger is planted, I can't wait to show you what the harvest will be like at the end of the year. It'll be quite a little wait, so just hold on. But check back later in the year, probably around late fall, beginning winter maybe, but probably late fall for the harvest video. But now you know how to start some ginger yourself, so go ahead, get yourself a pot, get some ginger ribosomes, plant them at the base, and you can kind of just leave it. Let it do its thing over these next couple of months and have your own ginger by the end of this year. That's so exciting and so worthwhile. Remember that it loves high temperature, some humidity, and a little bit of shade if you are going to move it out to the garden. A quick little tip for that humidity that it really likes is to add a little cup to the base of your plant just so that it gets some extra moisture, because our houses can be pretty dry these days, depending on if you've got your heat on right now in the winter or if the sun is baking in during the summer. Give your plants a little extra moisture. You can even spray it sometime. Give it a little mist just to give it some moisture. But I'll show you the cup that I use. Now if you're fancy-dancy, you could use a little cup like this, which is really cute and just filled with water. Or something like this, you know. Or any kind of little thing like this that you've got, a little plastic container. And just put it right at the base of your plant to give it some moisture. And with that, I wish you a wonderful gardening year and a great ginger harvest if you do choose to grow your own ginger this year. Now you know how, and I hope that this video has been very helpful to you and that you have confidence that you can do this too, and at the same time give yourself a really nice houseplant for a couple of months. If you found this very helpful and you like content like this, please consider subscribing and liking this video. I make a couple of videos a week, so if you want to stay tuned for those, that'd be lovely, and then you can catch our next video.